What is up, my friends, and welcome back to Hobble Creates. My name is Hobble, and in the last episode, we built this cute little building behind us which is housing our automated brass maker. And if you did miss that one, then be sure to check that out because brass is quite an important thing to automate. But in today's episode, I'm going to show you how to automate Electron Tubes. So if you are new here, then be sure to hit that subscribe button and remember to leave a like. So Electron Tubes are quite important for the advanced crafting. We're going to need Electron Tubes in order to make brass tunnels, deployers, mechanical crafters, and even brass funnels, of which you know that I absolutely love to use these ones. So having a large supply of Electron Tubes is going to be very beneficial. But unlike all of the other tutorials in this series, we're actually going to be starting at the end of the crafting chain. So what that means is, we are going to take our mechanical crafters and set them up to automatically make our Electron Tubes, and then we're going to work our way backwards through the recipe chain, making sure everything supplies the previous machine. So we're going to find ourselves a nice little spot now. We're going to pop down a temporary block, and on top of that block, we are going to pop down a mechanical crafter, and another one on top of that. We're going to remove that temporary block, but we are going to take an item vault now, and we're just going to pop it down on the right of our bottom crafter. We're just going to rotate the arrow so it makes sure it's facing into our vault. That's where all of our Electron Tubes are actually going to get stored. Now on the back of this bottom mechanical crafter, we're just going to pop down a tiny little belt. And on this belt, we're just going to pop down a mechanical press. And on the back of the crafter, we're going to add in a funnel. This is where we're going to be pumping in all of our iron ingots. They're going to get pressed down into sheets and fed into this mechanical crafter. To the left of this crafter, we're going to pop down a shaft, and right next to that, we're going to pop down another shaft. This is going to be another belt, and this is where we're going to be putting in all of our polished rose quartz. So we know that we're going to need a funnel going into this crafter. Then leaving a 1 block gap from our funnel, we are going to add in a deployer. This is going to be for our sandpaper. We're going to make a system now that is going to automatically replenish all of our sandpaper so we don't need to come back and add in even more. So on the right hand side of this deployer, we're going to add in a shaft and another shaft. This is going to be our belt. And on top of our deployer, we're just going to add in a chute. And for funsies, why don't we go ahead and make it a glass one? Then on that chute, let's pop down a funnel. Now we're going to make this belt 3 blocks longer. Then leaving a 1 block gap from this funnel, we're going to add in a basin. On the right of that, we need to add in a funnel. And we need to supply sand and paper into this basin. So we're going to have sand coming in on this belt over here. So that means round the back now we need to add in our paper. So we're going to add in another little belt here. Now paper we know how to get because we learned how to automate farming in a previous episode. Go check that out if you haven't seen it. So we're going to have our sugarcane. It's going to be belted in. We need to hit it with a mechanical press and that'll turn it into paper. So on the back of our basin, we're going to add in another funnel. And then if we make this belt 2 blocks longer, it will be the same length as the one underneath, and we can actually make it look quite symmetrical. And we can do the same with our mechanical press. We've just taken a moment to go ahead and hook up all of our belts now onto their correct resources. So we've got sand over here, we've got our iron ingots coming in down the bottom, and above that we've got our sugarcane. Now of course you're going to be hooking this up to your respective farms with belts, however, to keep things simple, we are going to be using the creative crate. Then all that's left to do is add in our mechanical mixer, and this system is kind of complete. So now that we've got the system in place to actually make our sandpaper that will replenish the system over here, we need to work on our rose quartz. Now we're going to extend this belt out a couple more blocks, and then leaving a gap from our deployer, we are going to add in our basin. Again, we're going to add in a funnel on this side that is going to pull all of our rose quartz out of this basin. And on the left hand side, then we're going to add in another funnel, which is going to be for our nether quartz. Now coming around to the back of our basin, we need to add in our supply line for our redstone dust. And then on the back of the basin, we just need to add in another funnel. On the top of our basin, we need to add in a mechanical mixer. So let me quickly hook this up now to our resource generators. And there we go. Next up, we need to go ahead and set some recipe filters. That way we're not making the wrong items. So coming to our rose quartz basin, we can either set the filter by first making a rose quartz, or we can just use a filter and we can drag in some rose quartz and we can say allow and click tick and we can add that right in here. And if you're feeling spicy, we can go ahead and add another one here, only pull out the rose quartz. Now moving up to our sandpaper basin, we are going to do the same again. This time we're just going to throw in a piece of sandpaper. Very easy to make it by hand. Add in your sandpaper. We are only ever going to make sandpaper. And then all that's left to do is add in our rotational power. So, coming over to the first belt over here where we've got our nether quartz going in, we're going to add our power here. Now you're going to be using either a windmill, a water wheel, or even a boiler. Wherever you are generating your stress units, you're going to just plug in right here. Now still working on the back of our machine, Right here, we're going to add in a shaft, because if we then add in a regular gearbox, that is going to give the correct rotation to this belt here. Now we have nether quartz and redstone in our basin. Next, we're going to tackle powering our mechanical mixer up here. If you've seen any of my other videos, there's no pretty way to do this. I'm not even going to try. So we're going to take a vertical gearbox now, and we're going to add that onto the end of the gearbox we just placed. We're going to go up with 2 shafts. On the top of here, we're going to put down a cogwheel, and we're just going to bring that over to our mixer. And what we should see is our mechanical mixer will start working, but unfortunately, because we don't have this deployer yet active, we're just going to put everything into our crafter, but we can come back and fix that a little bit later. Next up, we are going to be adding some power to our deployer. Very easy to do so. We can just throw some shaft into the belt underneath, add in a vertical gearbox to the belt and the deployer, and in between there, we can pop in our shaft. Then we can right click the belt with an empty hand to remove those extra rose quartz. And coming around to the front, we can right click our crafter to remove it from there as well. Now moving around the back of the machine again, we're actually going to be changing this shaft over for a vertical gearbox. The reason being is, if we add another vertical gearbox in here, and another one up here, that's going to make sure that this belt now is powered and moving in the correct direction. Now we're going to power our mechanical press that is making our paper. So again, in the belt, we're going to add in a shaft, vertical gearbox, and a shaft. Then moving around to the other side of our paper belt, we're going to add a shaft into our sand belt, and then a regular gearbox right on here. That's going to take all of our sugarcane, turn it into paper, input it into our machine. Then back around this side, underneath that vertical gearbox, we're going to add in one more, and that's going to give some power to this mechanical press that is making our iron sheets. And our iron sheets belt is the last thing that we need to actually add power to. So coming from this belt over here, we're going to add in a vertical gearbox, and you guessed it, another vertical gearbox. That's going to make our iron sheets, and they're going to get put around into our mechanical crafters. So why don't we power our mechanical crafter next? So we need a small cogwheel on the end of there, and we're going to throw in a shaft and a regular gearbox that's going to steal the power from our mechanical press, making sure that our mechanical crafters actually can spin. And finally, we need to just add some power to our mixer that is making our sandpaper. So this vertical gearbox here is a perfect spot. We're going to add in 2 shafts, and we're just going to connect it up with some regular cogs. That'll start spinning, and sandpaper should be on its way going into our deployer. We now have rose quartz. Rose quartz is being mixed together, crafted up, and we now have electron tubes. And there you go, my friends, you now know how to fully automate electron tubes. So as always, if you did enjoy yourself, then be sure to hit that subscribe button, as you are not going to want to miss the next episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye, guys.